Hi guys, and welcome to 2025. And I'm going to continue in my colouring along series, and today I'm going to colour it from hide and seek again. I had coloured Aussie Summer and I was very happy with how it turned out, but I videoed the back half of it. The video didn't work, so I'm going to recolour it, but I'm going to colour the duplicate with a difference version today with you. So looking at this, I've got this beautiful, I've used turquoise blue, and I sort of mixed it in with, I think, fresh blue and some lovely greens and a bit of Posca white, which gave us this really fun ocean thing. But I'm thinking, because it's now nighttime and we've got fireworks in the sky, we might, instead of doing that turquoise blue, because that wouldn't make sense in the night, would it? I might actually use these beautiful darker colours for the ocean. So, as always, I've got my sheet of acetate and an absorbent sheet of paper behind relay today. So I've done a little bit of a colour swatch here, and I'm going to go from cerulean blue to Indian blue to sapphire. They're my darks. So I might start with my cerulean and just do this whole sort of section in cerulean. Except now that I've said that, I am balking a little bit. Let's just do a little bit of turquoise blue, just because we can. Now I'm going to bring in my cerulean. And just bring up my turquoise, sort of blend that in a bit. Yeah, I think that's going to work. So we get some highlights of that turquoise coming through. I think that's going to be for the best. Now I'm stopping here where there's just a tiny little gap. So I'm trying to find the spaces. And what I might do is just try and highlight these rings, I guess, around the water rings. A bit of turquoise. And then come back into them with darker colour. Well, I hope you guys all had a really good Christmas and New Year's. It's so weird, it's all over now. I went in and the shops just, I think, the day before yesterday, and there were Easter hot cross buns for sale, which I thought was a bit confusing, but hey, what's this? just going to repeat that turquoise around all of my little floating things, just in an attempt to give some variation in the water, like reflections of the water. Well, it should be coming out a little bit further. So I still have Christmas decorations up, but I'm thinking that this weekend I shall take them down. And that's when it gives me a clear run for Monday, which is when we're all kicking off the new year, back to work. Got a new book to draw. Fun things to do. So I'm really looking forward to 2025. We've got a lot of plans which I'm looking forward to. Now this is good. It's looking more like a nighttime ocean, isn't it, than a beautiful sunlit ocean, which I had on my daytime version of this picture. That's why these duplicates with a difference in these books is so much fun. You get to reimagine the scene in a whole different light. So, all good. Now I've got this coming up around here. I'm thinking I want to continue that turquoise sort of vibe there. Oh, except I've used the wrong blue. Silly. And what I love is the koalas are awake in this one, but they're asleep in the other one. And then a lot of these cockatoos, which were awake in the daytime, are now asleep. So. And this pair of skiing boaters is indefatigably still skiing, even though it's the night. Oh, that's good, turquoise blue. I'm just using these little wave indicators as a fun way to add in this little water texture. I'm bringing in the turquoise blue again to blend that in a bit. I'm wanting to, I think, get some reflections from all these fireworks that are happening. I grew up in Sydney, so I remember the fireworks on New Year's Eve being a big fun thing, man. If you ever get a chance to go and see the New Year's Eve fireworks over in Sydney Harbour, then go for it, because that's just one of the most astonishing things you'll ever see. I'm blending back over this with the turquoise blue because it helps blend that cerulean blue into the lighter blue, but it also, when it gets over the cerulean blue like here, it starts to suck out some of that cerulean blue and gives us a little bit more texture in the water there, which I think is going to work for us in the long run. All right. Now I've got here an Indian blue, and I'm going to have my cerulean blue blend. I was thinking of bringing the dark in. I think I might sort of do a dark around maybe the edge. Anyway, we'll play with it and see what happens. I'll play a little bit with just sort of dabbing that colour in. And I'll bring my cerulean back in just to sort of blend that. Yeah, that's cerulean. I think this one, so we're sort of giving some texture in there. And I might just do the same down this side, but leave our centre reflecting all of our highlights. I might start from further up on this with the Indian blue, because the cerulean blue is giving us a little bit of darker as we go over it. So I've never water skied on Sydney Harbour. I've sailed on Sydney Harbour in my little catamaran. It does get pretty choppy on the water, so I don't know, it's ideal for water skiing. Plus there's all sorts of ferries and boats all sort of wafting about. Happy to mow you down. All right, I'm pretty happy with that water. What I'm going to do is bring in my, if I can find it, my Posca. Poscas are fun over markers because they can sort of blend in a bit. So what I'm thinking is as they dry, they tend to sort of suck in a little bit of that colour from below. Which I think will work well on the water. I just want to really highlight the edges of this. Just sort of bring out some of these highlights. Just the tips of these waves, they'd be catching the light, wouldn't they? Oh, good fun. All right, let's call that water ready to go and move on. Now I can't wait to colour this guy in, so I'm just going to go straight there. And I love what I did to him on the last one. So I'm going to, this is I think pastel peach through like a yellow through to yellow green. So this is my pastel peach. And I'm going to give him a nice pink sort of an underbelly, or a pastel peach underbelly. Alright, and I might just put in a little bit of canary yellow just to bring some sort of yellowy highlights into there. Beautiful. Now I'm going to bring out my yellow-green, and I don't want to cover up my yellow, but I want to sort of blend it into it. Alright, I'm going to work back in. This is a bronze green. I'm going to leave the little spots light green. I do want to blend that just a bit. And I've got a dark blush pink here, which I think is going to look lovely on his eyelids. What do you think? I think I'm going to give him a pink shirt too. You know, I think these prawns also need to be pink. Even the one in the water. Well, you know what else needs to be pink? This little thing needs to be pink. I think pink with canary yellow dots. Looking at coral haze for a shadow. What do you think? It's all a little bit vibrant, isn't it? Well, you know what else needs to be pink, don't you? Some of these fireworks, I think. Just bringing my canary yellow for these little dots. Throw a little bit of yellow into that pink just to play with those prawns. Right. Well, I got my yellow out. Let's highlight some stuff. Not too much stuff. All right, this is my coral haze again. Can give him some red goggles. Maybe a pink umbrella. And use cocktail. I don't know what this cocktail is. A mojito? What do you think? This little guy is a platypus. Platypus is a monotreme, which means it's a cute furry little creature that's sort of like a beaver, but it's got a duck's bill, webbed feet, and a little beaver tail, and it lays eggs because it's a monotreme. So weird thing. And you think they're soft and cuddly, but the males have this spike on their back legs, which has a really potent venom in it, which can make a human very sick. So if you ever see a platypus and you think, let's pick it up and cuddle it, think twice about cuddling the platypus. It's a weird thing, and when Australia was first discovered, they sent a platypus carcass back to England, and no one believed that it was a real creature. They all thought it was a hoax, fake news. So what colour do you think a platypus is? I think a platypus could be a pastel peach base, brown grey on top maybe. Well, these little guys live on the side of riverbanks in fresh water. So I don't know what he's doing in the ocean here, like the Sydney Harbour's saltwater. And they burrow into the side of the river and they feed on little worms and yabbies, crustaceans. Cute. All right, I've got a red here, a coral haze. I'm going to make my barbecue bright red. I might bring in a geranium. There's a bit of shadow for that red. Where's my shadow coming from? So from the fireworks. All right, I'm going to bring out my lemon yellow because I want my hat to be coloured in lemon yellow. I'm going to call it a straw hat. And even these little corks hanging from a hat. Now, if you've got corks hanging from your hat in Australia, it's to brush away the flies. As you move your head, those little corks knock the flies away. So that's what's going on there. And what I might do is, in this grill, I'm going to put yellow, like a warm yellow and red, sort of red, just to make it look like it's firing away there. Now what I'm going to do is bring in some cool greys, maybe a green grey. Yeah, let's do a green grey for my grill plate. All right, this is a warm grey 170, just to mix it up a bit. Right, I've got pastel blue. I think I'm going to do his pants pastel blue. Maybe they're like a stone wash denim. What do you think? And a fresh blue. Try to add some shadow in. All right, brown grey. Let's do this wharf. So we're going to swap between brown, grey and walnut a bit on this. Sort of blend it in a bit as I go. I think that could give us a nice effect for the wharf. Let me try and colour in line with the grain. And sort of be a bit messy and try and create lines. Rather than a general colour, just to give me some texture in these planks. Yeah, that's sort of fun. See my texture that I've left around there, and then I can come back in and highlight that texture with a bit of walnut. Now I think that's, I've missed a little bit of a crocodile there. All right, and inside the mouth of the crocodile, I'm going to try and leave those teeth white. Alright, now I'm going to highlight my grain with my walnut. This handle should be walnut, I reckon. Alright, I can't resist a bit of gold ink for my banner, one of those rims around the wharf posts, bollards. Cool, we've got our metallic in. All is good. Oh, it's escaping. Right, I've got my pastel peach. I'm going to just go around these tree stumps with the pastel peach and then come back in with the brown, grey, and maybe some walnut and maybe some salmon pink. Try to give myself a nice tree, nice Australian sort of gum tree trunk vibe. I am going to be a little bit sort of choppy just because it's bark, bits of bark, little bits of tree trunk, little shadows. The gum trees I'm thinking of, they have the white, sort of white, smooth bark, but then there's flaking off dark bark that comes around it. I don't know if you've seen them. Right, I might come back and work a little bit more on those tree trunks later, but for now I'm a bit bored of tree trunks, so I'm going to get my yellow green and do all my leaves. Oh, I need a thin point. Gum leaves. Now I'm going to grab my bronze green, which is the darker green we use for our crocodile, and come back in on some of these gum leaves. I'm just colouring the half sides. Like half the leaf in the dark. Oh. I just noticed that I missed this branch and all my little gum nuts. The fun thing with gum nuts, if you've ever seen them, is that they are an explosion of colour. Usually red. They're like little fireworks. And they're little flowering, when they're flowering. Right, I think what we need is some grass green, which is just a little bit darker than my yellowy green, for these little incidental plants that have sprouted up around the roots of our gum trees. I think we need more coral haze for my, what are these called? Beer holders, stubby holders. It's basically a little sheath of neoprene which keeps your hand warm and your beer cold. And I think what I need here is some walnut for these beer bottles. And while I got coral haze out, I think this kangaroo should still be wearing his bright red board shorts. Look at that, lovely. And I think this boat should have a stripe, which is red. And I'm bringing geranium in for a bit of shadowing on top of that. All right, let's talk about the kangaroo. I think there are a couple of, there are heaps of different sorts of kangaroos, but the main ones are the grey kangaroo and the red kangaroo. Now, grey kangaroos, what I'm going to do this guy in. And the big reds, I think they're more of an outback. You find them more in the outback, whereas the grey kangaroos, you find them all around Sydney, on the east coast. And the big reds, they grow pretty big and they get muscly. These guys are all more normal, what you expect in a kangaroo. I've got my cool grey 032, so it's a lighter cool grey than my kangaroo. And I'm just going to do my koalas in that. And I'm going to bring in the darker, the 042 cool grey. And the same thing for this guy. And those koalas are nocturnal. They do all of their eating and wandering at night. And they are extraordinarily cute, although they're a bit smelly. They smell like eucalyptus and other things. Right. And what they need is a big, I'm going to give them a blue-grey nose. Blue-grey 170. Oh, it's really dark. Quick. Oh, I need a warm grey 170. Oh, I got the wrong blue grey. This is the blue grey I was after. 069. And there's a little leaf I forgot. Well, I'm thinking of doing a yellow tube here. This is Canary yellow. And you'll notice that there are patched holes in this flotation device, which could be because of the spikes on that little echidna. And I hear you say, what's an echidna? Well, in Australia we don't have hedgehogs or porcupines. We have things called echidnas, which are monotremes, the same as a platypus, which means they lay eggs. And they're sort of like a hedgehog. They eat ants and they've got spikes. So they've got a little snout to eat ants with, and they've got spiky things on their back, and they can curl into a ball and fend off attackers. They're cute things. I love echidnas. Don't see a lot of them. See them every now and then. They're all around, but they just sort of hide in bushes. They can dig like you wouldn't believe. They've got those front paws, which are like little shovels, and they can just burrow. And so they'll curl into a ball with their spikes sticking out, and if you surprise them, then they'll just burrow down and disappear underground from that little ball state. So awesome little dudes. All right, pastel pink, pastel peach. I think we're going to base him with a pastel peach. And I'm just sort of playing his feet by ear because they're underwater, so it'll be a little bit different, but not too much. I've got a brown grey. And they, from memory, have darker spikes. They just sort of go to black at the tips. He looks a little bit bewildered, doesn't he? And I'm bringing in my dark blush for some of these patches. And maybe some turquoise for the turquoise blue for the other patches. All right, this little guy is a kookaburra. Kookaburras are related to the kingfisher family, and they have the best call song when they're, I think they're fighting or mating. It sounds like a crazy person laughing. So that was brown grey, and actually did on my previous illustration, if I can find it. I did a really cool version of my kookaburra. So what did I do? That's the question. I think that's a warm grey rather than a pastel peach. So I'm going to grab my warm grey. Oh, I already got a warm grey. Let's say warm grey 150. See what that does. And I'm going to underplay this with some of that, more of that brown grey. They're related to kingfishers, these little guys, and they've got these huge beaks which are like secateurs, and they've even been known to take on snakes. They take on snakes. What they do is they catch them and they fly them up into the air, and then they drop them from a great height, and the snakes fall on the ground and die, and they come down and eat them. Pretty fun. And what I want to do is give them some blue-grey 069 for his little feet. And they have these wonderful sort of splashes of blue. Give them lighter blue. So in my Polychromos, this is a white cobalt turquoise. So little blue feathers flecking through. And I might bring in some brown, dark brown. Some of this crimson red as well, just to mix up the colour a bit. Alright, that's our little kookaburra. Now this guy is a little ringtail possum. I'm going to do pastel peach for his body as well. These guys have sort of a reddish tinge. To their fur. And they're pretty cute. I think they're more common, at least where I live, the ringtails. There's another sort of possum which is called a brush tail possum, and their tails are all fluffy and I learned about possums is no matter what happens, you don't want one to get into your roof. It sounds like, even if they're just running across your roof, it sounds like a small elephant has decided to land on your roof and take a few stomping steps. Well, I've got my pastel peach. I'm just going to colour in this little guy too. Now this little cute guy is a sugar glider. I think it's like a little possum thing, but the cool thing about the sugar glider is that they have little flaps of skin between their front and back legs, which means that when they take off and jump from trees, they can sort of glide across to other trees. They can stay off the ground, out of the way of any predators that may be wanting to eat them. They are just cute little things. So I've got a vermilion red here, and I'm just going to give some fur to my little possum. Some brown in there as well. Just try and mix it in with that red vermilion. And I've got some salmon here. Salmon, it's a good colour, isn't it? Because I think their tails are sort of a little bit skin showing through. I'm just going to add a little bit of colour around his eyes, just for depth, and maybe in his ears, just some of that salmon. Green gold. Quite fond of this green gold. I always end up using it for some reason. Just going to bring that salmon back and try and give him some pink cheeks. Not that I know if echidnas have pink cheeks, but... Alright, I've got my canary yellow and my melon yellow, or lemon mellow. Lemon yellow, that's it. Not my melon, my yellow lemon. Goodness me. I'm just wanting to put some sand in here while it's still wet. I just want to nudge it so it sort of blends a bit. Alright, well I've got my melon yellows and my lemon yellow and my canary yellow out. I'm going to do these guys. So cockatoos, we've got different sorts of cockatoos in Australia. Probably the most common one would be a sulphur-crested cockatoo. They've got the bright orange little feathers on their head. So I'm going to do these ones as sulphur-crested cockatoos. And they're essentially white with the yellow on their heads. They do have some yellow elsewhere, which I worked out here. So yeah, they've got sort of yellow feathers going on. So I'm just going to put a touch of that darker yellow at the top of their crests. And I might bring in some yellow colours. So what have I got here? Cadmium yellow. And I think sort of under their wings they've got a bit of yellow feathering, maybe under their tails. I'm going to exaggerate where it might be, but because I don't just want it to all be white. Maybe I'll bring that salmon back just for around their eyes. First of all, let's get it sharp. So these sulphur-crested cockatoos usually fly in flocks. Not huge flocks, I don't think. The Koalas are smaller versions of these guys, and they fly in huge flocks. But the sulphur-crested, you know, I've seen, usually around here there's like 5 or 6 together, but often you can see like flocks of 20, 30. And they're pretty big birds, and man, they make a racket. Especially early in the morning, they sort of fly through valleys and just yell to each other. I love hearing them. They do have black beaks from memory. So I'm not going to use black, I'm going to use this blue-grey. And I think they've got black claws, but I like the pink claws, so I'm going to leave them pink. They're my sulphur-crested cockatoos. And I could do these the same, but I think I'm going to make these Major Mitchells. Major Mitchells are sort of like the sulphur-crested, whereas they're mostly white, but they've got some pretty wild colours going on in their crests. I worked it all out here. All I need to do is just find that pink colour that I used. What do you think? A bit of that pink. So they have stripes through their thing, they're just vibrant coloured things. A bit redder. And we got orange, red, yellow, orange, orange, red, yellow, red, orange. Orange, red, yellow. Right, let's get a yellow stripe through the middle. And then around that, there's an orange, which I'm going to do in marker because it's nice and vibrant. Actually, it was red in the middle, wasn't it? So orange. Let's do this red. Once again, let's get it sharp. Now you may think I'm exaggerating, but that's pretty much what the things look like. They're crazy. Now these guys are asleep, even though the fireworks are going off in the background. And I think they've got sort of pink bellies and stuff going on. Around where I live, they have black cockatoos. You see them flying around, and you can't believe they can stay in the air because their wings go so slowly. I love them. I love seeing them fly. And they don't make as much racket as the sulphur cresteds do. They look great, and they've got some yellow, so when they flare their tails, there's just this beautiful shock of yellow going through. Put some pink in their wing. Just grab some sand colour here, just to sort of enrich that. Enrich those pinks with a little bit of sand colour. And I'm going my blue-grey 069 for their feet. And their beaks. My uncle told a story about how he had a flock of sulphur-crested cockatoos that used to come visit him on his balcony every day, and they'd feed them seeds and things, and it was all well and good until they went on holidays, and then the sulphur-crested cockatoos arrived and they weren't there. So the sulphur-crested cockatoos were a bit miffed that they weren't coming out to feed them. So they basically destroyed his cedar railings on his balcony, just chewed them to pieces with their secateurs beaks. So be warned, people. If you're going to feed these guys, you can't ever stop. All right, I'm just going to bring a little bit of dark brown into my koalas. So I just want a bit of texture in their fur. that should work well with the grey under markers. What I want to do is sharpen that. Now I'm thinking some pink for their cheeks. Maybe for in his ears. I'm going to do the same thing over here. And I might just add a bit of sand in there as well. Maybe on his little butt here. This is a little wombat. I think in the other one he was a koala, so I swapped the koala for a wombat. And the echidna was here having a sausage and I moved him out to be floating. And I'm going to give him a blue singlet. So this is cerulean blue. And I'm going to use my warm grey 150 for his little, just to give him a base for the colour of his fur. So wombats, they're cool things. They're little nuggets. They live in burrows and dig up holes in farmers' pastures. A baby wombat could be one of the cutest things you'll ever see in your life. Very sweet. All right, I've got another wombat out here driving this boat. You didn't know wombats could get marine licenses, did you? I think their noses might be pink. At least this guy's nose is going to be pink. And I think maybe his thongs should be as blue as his singlet is. I'm going to use this dark brown just to, I like to leave their bellies light. Maybe their toes and hands a little lighter. Alright, I got some True Blue here. Just going to lightly make his glasses work. What I really want is some darker blue, so Prussian blue. That should work. Alright, I'm just going to use that to put some shadows on to my singlet. And I think we need some pink in his cheeks. Maybe some pinker in his nose as well. All right. Same thing with this little guy. I think for this guy I'm going to throw some sand in there as well. Alright, let's look at this boat. I was really happy with what I did on my first boat, which was just sort of to give it a bit of shadow. Well, let's keep going down that path. I'm going to darken up this engine. And maybe the inside of the boat. And I'm going to pull out my warm greys. I've got a warm grey 150 and a warm grey 140. I think I'm going to do the warm grey 140. It's just the lighter one. And do some shadowing with that darker one. Maybe some of this turquoise for the windscreen. We need a warm grey. That. I've just got this Prismacolor. It's sort of a green. It's called True Green. And I just want to sort of add a little bit more of this greeny texture into the ocean here. Just to enrich it. I'm just doing randomly, splotching it in sort of randomly. All right, I have one. Look at this kangaroo still. What did I do to my kangaroo? I left him pretty clean, didn't I? Right, I'm just grabbing a Posca, white Posca, because I want these swimming costumes here to be remember those things that we used to all wear in the 90s? What are they called? Okinawas? They had those beautiful hibiscus patterns in white out of those. I think that's what he's wearing. Well, I got my Posca. I'm just going to highlight some of these splashes a bit more. Maybe even some of that. All right, one little critter left to go. This is a superb blue wren. Cute little things, astonishingly coloured. I might go with a cool grey. I think I need a cool grey here. I really like cool grey for his underbelly and maybe his wing. And then I've got pastel blue. And then he's got this little bandit eye patch and beak. I'm just going to enhance that blue with some pencil. I think that's our critters all sort of worked out. Now I've got some brown grey again for the Harbour Bridge pylons. And these foreshores are sort of all sandstony, so I'll just run that colour along. And I'm thinking, do we go with just some cool greys for the, because we don't want the houses to stand out so much, do we? We want them to sort of blend in. To that white sky. I've got here bronze green, a bit of foliage on the foreshore, bit of bronze green, maybe here too, maybe a bit there. Trying to keep it sort of dark, and it was a dark and stormy night. No, it wasn't. It was a clear night because of the fireworks. All right. Warm grey 140. Let's just get a little bit of shadow in these sails of the opera house. And I might just grab my colourless blender and sort of smoosh that around a bit. Alright, I think what we need now is some darker cool grey. Was that the cool grey I just used? That's the one I just used. Got a green grey, it's a bit darker. Just want some variation in my shadows on these buildings. I'm going to try fluoro. I've got a fluorescent yellow here. See what that does. I think orange is what we need. I think I've got fluoro orange. You can use that too. I do. Fluorescent orange. Let's try it on a little one first. Yeah, that works. I'm tempted to blend in this. What I blend it with a sort of a red. That's my coral haze. I'll try that. You know how fireworks always sort of fizz different colours. Oh, wrong one. I think this one could be orange too. Oh. And I'll give myself another coral haze centre to that one. All right, purple. What have I got here? Crimson red, purple. I'm going to go with my purple. This is a Prismacolor purple. And just add some shadowing. We pull back this vibrant pink t-shirt a bit. I love this guy. Yeah, add a bit of pastel blue into this as well. from memory, I think these platypus have dark bills. Which I forgot to do, so I'm filling that in with a dark grey. I'm just pulling out a brown to add some texture into this. And I think what we need is some salmon pink inside the gullet of my little crocodile here. And some of my yellow green. I'm going to bring in some of that crimson red to deepen that a bit. And I think I'll just finish it off with a little bit of highlighting. Give some white steam. You know what, I think we'll call that a day. There it is, Aussie Summer from Hide and Seek. Hope you guys have enjoyed colouring along with that one. This was the alternative version. I did a daytime version, but the filming on that one fell apart. And So I've coloured this one along with you, but you can always do the daytime version. Pretty much used these colours that I used in the ocean for the sky, and then used the lighter ones for the ocean. Both of them are a whole lot of fun, and I enjoyed colouring them both. Thanks so much for watching. I will look forward to seeing you in another video. So long for now, guys. Bye.